brand perception and projection. It's something I've not really talked about or considered much, even in my 17 years of tenure. But a little trip outside of the city yesterday put forward the idea, well, to talk about and also to think about for my business. And I think it is something that I've completely missed the trick on. So I'll set the scene. I've gone to York, which is a city in the north of England, about an hour's drive from Hull. And I've gone there to spend the day with my partner, Katie. I'm trying once a month to take a day away from work to go for lunch in a new place and take a view on coffee in those particular cities or towns or wherever it may be. And of course, when you arrive in a new place, you want to find places that resonate with yourself, whether that's through the aspiration of the product that you want to consume, if it's food, the stuff that you want to buy. And I hadn't really considered this before. I suppose somewhat naively, I've always thought that if you're into coffee and you go into a new place, you just know, right? You just know where to go, you know what coffee to buy, etc. And that's the sort of thing that I've done with thinking about my brand, my coffee roasting company, Blending Room. And I mean, I think this is probably a little bit stupid, and here's the picture. So you go to a new place and you're walking around looking for your first espresso or flat white. How do you judge what cafe to go into? And I don't mean that as a rhetorical question. I mean that actually take some time in considering what the answer to that is. So I found myself walking past cafes and judging the cafe based on how their food was laid out, what espresso machine that they have, what grinder they're operating off, and of course also the type of coffee bags that are on display, if they're on display at all. Because I think, you know, if something is on display, it would suggest that the person who's put the thing on display is proud of the thing that they're working on. And I've sort of never considered this with our brand positioning for our roastery. And I think if you're in a position where you have an old business like myself, 17 years in 2 months' time, or if you're a new start or anywhere along the journey of running a coffee roastery or cafe or whatever it is that you're doing, think about the projection that you are giving to your potential customers, those people who have never breached your threshold and had your brand experience. Because that's the view that I had when I was in York yesterday. Now, I'm not saying that I'm some coffee elitist, but I enjoy characterful coffee. And there are certain types of cafes that present characterful coffee, that have procured characterful coffee to put through their espresso machines, batch brews or other. So the first mark of a cafe that was giving me that, or potentially would give me that, is through their espresso machine. So was their espresso machine on show? And what brand of espresso machine was it? There are certain brands in the marketplace that I feel promote excellence. And it's those cafes, those experiences that I particularly wanted. And I hadn't really spent much time in the past 17 years thinking about that. Our brand positioning as a coffee roastery through the allegiance with other brands in the marketplace. So what does this mean in real practical terms? Well, I think what I'm going to do for my business going forward, because I've spent this YouTube experience as a way of thinking about my business through a new set of eyes. The positive thing that YouTube and this medium has given me is that because I'm talking about my company on the internet, there's a lot of people that will judge what I'm doing. So I've really got to think about what I'm doing, think about what I'm saying, make sure that what I'm saying is legitimate, is truthful, so I'm not pulling the wool over people's eyes, and, well, just an extension of my true self. I will never do or say a thing that I haven't had a first-hand experience of, because I just don't think that you can talk about something in the public arena without actually having experienced firsthand and then the conviction to say those things. Anyway, I completely diverge away from the point of this. So I will freely admit today that over the past 17 years, I have been completely naive in our brand extension. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean that I'm going to have to consider, or I don't have to consider, but I would wish to consider things like our packaging, our labeling, like, are our labels on straight? I mean, that's really important, right? Where and if our commercial clients place our product on display, could we encourage that? Is that a good thing to do? And then what machine manufacturers? Oh, espresso machines. So I'll tell you a story. I have been on and off working with people like La Marzocco and Vittorio Arduino for a long time. I'm a small company, and I have found it somewhat difficult to work with some of the leading brands because as a small company, I don't fit the projection of their brand. Odd space to be in, believe me. So I've chosen other people to work with, and other people to work with have been really fantastic. But what I need to do is make sure that inside of each of those manufacturer selections that I am choosing equipment that says we're focused on quality. Now, I must stress that this is not me pursuant of being elitist or anything like that, because I am so far away from being that guy. But I do really want the product that we spend a lot of time sourcing and roasting and tearing my hair out over to be really well presented in the marketplace. And I want the person that was me in York yesterday to be able to understand the experience that they're just about to have and be able to select us and our brand out from a marketplace that is awash with other roasteries, other competitors. So what's the point of this video? What exactly am I saying? Well, I think if you're a new business, you must pay attention to your extension of self in the marketplace. Think about what you want as a brand. Don't do what I did, which is naively think that your customer, your potential customer base, will just understand, because they don't. What is there to tell them of the quality that you're pursuant of? Whether you're up here or down there, it doesn't matter. Be that person, own that space. Tell people exactly the type of experience that they are going to have. Because even a guy like me, I dress in the same clothes, I'm a very traditional man, even I was in a new space looking for people, looking for companies that I feel would resonate with the experience that I'm looking for. So don't be me, don't be naive and forget those things, because yeah, your customers, they'll pass you by. Of course, once you've set your stall out, make sure that you meet that. What's worse than saying you're a thing and then you're not actually that thing? I'm not saying that I had that experience when I was in York, but I would have been really disappointed as a newcomer walking through the threshold of a cafe with the extension of we're going to be this type of person or type of business, and that business doesn't meet it. So I think for our company, Blending Room, we have done a good job at exceeding people's expectations because our brand extension has been lower than their expectations. So I now need to, as a business, bring those two things together to make sure that we maintain the quality parameters that I wish to have as a coffee roastery and be able to showcase those through the delivery of a more cohesive, more focused brand. Now, I know this video is somewhat off topic of roasting and profiles and kit and stuff like that, but I hope it's been some form of an insight into what a business owner thinks about or should think about when they're producing their company. And in my case, a long-standing business that has completely missed the mark when it comes to the extension of brand. Brand is very powerful. Brand is what acquires you new customers. Anyway, that's the end of this. What do you think? Are you interested in some conversations around the business of running a coffee roastery? Or do you want to talk, or me to talk, more about profiles and execution and stuff like that? Do let me know in the comments. If you haven't subscribed and you've got to the end and you see this message, please do. It's great for my ego and it helps tick the box in the confirmation that I'm doing a good thing. Anyway, as always, if you happen to pick up a bag of our coffee, I hope you enjoy. You have a great day.